Welcome to Buccaneers Insider. I'm your host, Danny Rabinowitz. Today we'll be joined by a couple of the stars from our men's basketball team, and Jim McCurdy will have a piece on our athletic training department. But joining me first is the assistant rowing coach, Lindsay Shoop. Now, your first full semester here at Barry, let me ask you just first your impressions of the rowing program.
The rowing program that I came from was about 3 times the size of this one, so moving into a program that is much more intimate, much more hands-on is a really nice way to get to work with more of the individual athletes, get to really coordinate their skills and their technique, and really get to know them as individuals as well as a team. They are one of the hardest working groups that I've ever seen, and definitely one of the hardest working groups here.
Now, before we get to your career that you've had, what are your motivations for working with college athletes?
You know, when I actually started rowing, I started when I was 20 at the University of Virginia, and so I was kind of older for the sport. So, you know, having come out of being a high school athlete, you know, an athlete all my life, getting into the collegiate athletic experience is something that absolutely changed my life. The coach that I had when I was in college is someone who I look up to today and definitely respect fully. So getting into collegiate athletics is, you know, having the opportunity to share something that changed my life with people that have similar interests. So.
Now, you had an incredible career. We were talking before, you mentioned a gold medal. That's just an incredible story. Tell me a little bit about that.
If you had asked me when I was about 4 what I would have wanted to go to the Olympics in, I would have said equestrian events, horseback riding. If you had asked me when I was about 15, I would have said beach volleyball, because volleyball was my favorite sport then. So having grown up, you know, playing all sorts of sports, I had a great amount of respect, obviously, for the Olympics. Every athlete does. But having made it there myself, and now being on the opposite end of that at this point in time in my life, I still can't believe that it's something that I've done, because I feel that I'm just your average person. That when I spoke to my college coach and I told him, I said, you know, I still can't believe it. He said, you know, it's a lot of hard work and great attitude. So maybe one day I'll fully comprehend what it means to be an Olympian. But
I mean, what is that experience like, though, to go up and hold up your medal and to actually win them? It's just such an amazing accomplishment.
Yeah, you know, I remember standing on the medal stock. Rowing is one of the few sports that actually receives their medals immediately. You don't have a night to change, you don't take a shower, digest what's actually happened. You literally finish the race, sweat-soaked, you know, sopping wet socks. You paddle around and you go over to the medals dock. You might say something to, you know, media, hop back in the boat, and go from the media dock to the medals dock, get out again, and you're still shaking. Your muscles are still twitching, you know. And standing there as we all individually get our medals, because there were 9 of us in our event, I'm watching my teammates and knowing, you know, gosh, I'm so proud of them. Like, I can't believe that this is happening. And when the woman actually walked down and it was my turn, I was the second to last person to receive the medal. Mm-hmm. I went from just smiling and laughing and, wow, this is amazing, to, I mean, I pretty much froze and just started bawling. You know, it's one of those things. She basically said something very, you know, intimate to each person as she came down, very personal. And as she went to put the medal over my head, it was almost like a Disney moment where you hear the little twinkling and, you know, you just feel different. When the medal drops and it weighs more than any other medal you've ever felt, it's the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen. It almost makes your whole body catch it, you know, once you really realize just what an incredible race you just won, just what an incredible experience you were a part of.
Yeah, and it must be amazing to tell these stories to your student athletes that you have now, and, you know, it just give them that knowledge.
Yeah, you know, I have the opportunity actually to work with them, but I also, you know, speak to high school teams. I've talked to businesses and companies and things like that. And every time that I get to talk about it, it just reminds me of something else that happened, something else that made it really happen. And just the other day I was talking to some kids about how, you know, what if the result had been different? Mm-hmm. Everything that happened from A to B wouldn't have been any different, but the result would have, you know. And I would have been the same person along the way, but I would have a different, you know, end result to tell them, but I wouldn't be any less proud of what my teammates and I did the whole time.
All right, now let me ask you about your current team here at Barry. What do you think about the guys you have right now, and what are your expectations for the season?
You know, one of the coolest things is how diverse they all are. And they all bring like knowledge from, you know, a lot of them row internationally, so they bring knowledge from all their different countries. And then between the head coach and I, we both have Olympic experience. So to bring all of that together and all the different, you know, ideas about what rowing is our common link is that we're a little bit kooky because we just love to work hard. And seeing them all come together like that, I mean, quite honestly, they have a huge amount of potential. It's completely up to them how well they want to do this year because, you know, according to what we've looked at historically, they have the best strength so far of any Barry team. Size-wise, the team is literally growing in numbers. We have fantastic equipment. We have availability of all sorts of resources, including the water that we get to row on. You know, we have our weight room, we have our athletic trainers, so they have all the parts to really create something incredible come spring. So,
Lindsay, I thank you so much for taking the time with us today. It's an incredible story, by the way, and we wish you the best of luck this upcoming season.
Thank you. Wish the girls luck. It's all them. We can say anything we want, but they're the ones that have to do it. So.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
And now we're joined here on Buccaneers Insider by head athletic trainer Scott Freer. Scott, thanks for stopping by today here on this edition of Buccaneers Insider.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's get right into it. Why don't you go ahead and explain to the general public what the primary function of athletic training is all about and what goes into BarryU's training room here?
Well, we're considered allied healthcare professions, so we do take care of our student athletes, a holistic approach to healthcare. So from injuries, from sicknesses, etc. So we oversee the whole aspect of healthcare for our student athletes.
What goes into a typical day here in the training room?
A typical day. Some days are longer than others, obviously. It depends on what day, if it's a game day or practice double days. Typically, we'll open, we'll have post-surgical rehabs in the morning. That's when we can get the one-on-one time. After that, then we start getting to pre-practice treatments, pre-practices, and then post-practice treatments, or there might be a game. So it could be a long day. Some days are 12 hours, some days are, 10.
Obviously, there's so much variety and so many different cases that you'll have to see with the different athletes and what their needs are. But if you had to pinpoint one particular priority, what is the number one priority as a training room facility?
Typically prevention of athletic injuries, and that can be with us, with the strength and conditioning coach, movement screening, stuff like that. But I think a big thing is once you diagnose an injury and getting a correct diagnosis is correctly rehabbing them, and I think that's probably one of my favorite parts is after surgical, getting them back into play, on the court, game, whatever.
There can't be a better feeling than knowing that you've taken an athlete who looked like they may be out of commission for a season or even longer and getting them back on the playing surface, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, it's great, especially if you see someone that comes from surgery that can barely walk, back to walking, running, and then, have a career high points on the court. I mean, it's just an amazing feeling, and I think that's just what I look forward to.
Well, here at Barry, there's roughly 200 student athletes that come through this building and this facility year in and year out. So when you got 6, 8, even 9 teams competing all at once, as will happen later in the spring, how do you prioritize?
Obviously, priority goes to the ones that are in season. We give those the most priority. However, it all depends on communication amongst ourselves as a staff, communication with coaches, and communication with student athletes. So I think a big thing is communication amongst all of us. But if you pick one, it's prioritizing. It's the ones that are in season. Those are the ones that get the most priority.
You're in your 6th year here as the head athletic trainer, Scott. So what's something that you've been most proud of yourself or about Barry University's athletic training department?
I enjoy seeing the student athletes do their best on the field, the court, what have you. But what I enjoyed winning a few national championships with tennis, and I enjoyed seeing our athletic training students go from freshmen that they don't know a clue about athletic training into becoming a certified athletic trainer, and hearing them after the fact what great things they've done.
And I guess that leads into my next question is how much teaching and learning goes into this training room facility as it relates to your GAs, your assistants, and even the student trainers here, and how valuable an experience that is for them?
I mean, I think in medical, in healthcare anyways, I think it's all about education. I can learn from the doctors that come here on clinic, but I try to mentor the GAs. I try to mentor the athletic training students. Sometimes I actually learn from the graduate assistants. They might experience something at their school that they can enlighten me on, which I've never seen before. So, I mean, I don't think I'm a know-it-all, and I never try to be that, but I think it's an educational process amongst the staff as well as students, and we always learn. Every day is a learning day. So,
of course, we all know that you're still a student here of the training world because you're pursuing a doctoral degree, so which is very admirable. How's all that been for you and all the studies and keeping up with being the head athletic trainer?
Very difficult, but doable. I just finished my last semester as far as classroom work, so it was tiring, late nights, writing papers, reading, et cetera, et cetera. So I know exactly what the graduate assistants are going through. I was a grad assistant here, and then after some time, now I went back to school. But hopefully I can get this dissertation done in the next couple of years and see from where that takes me.
And you've told me on road trips in the past that you really enjoy being inside the training room. That's why it's going to be hard to pull you away from here. What is it that you like most about being in the training room?
I think the student athletes are great. I enjoy shooting the bull with them, figuring out, see what their life is all about and see where they want to take their life. I enjoy treating them. I enjoy, figuring out their complex cases, etc. Sometimes it can get hectic. Sometimes, but I like to learn about the person, the student athlete themselves, and I think that's just a cool thing. I mean, you can get it from being a professor and learning about your students, but you don't have that. Sometimes you see your student athletes 12 hours or maybe 6 hours a day. 5-6 days a week. It's not like professorial, but I mean, so I think just learning about the student athlete and seeing where their life is heading. So,
well, I know all the student athletes here appreciate, the coaches appreciate you and what your staff does here, Scott. So congratulations on all the work that you've put in and giving the best back to our student athletes, and continued success here at Barry University and in your own personal studies.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Danny, now back to you in the studio.
All right, I'm joined now by a couple members of our men's basketball team, Trey Leonard, Giovanni Robinson. Thank you guys for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
Now, you guys told me you're both from North Carolina. You transferred here to Barry. We'll get to that in a second. But both from North Carolina, and you guys actually met, didn't really know it, but you guys met before.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about that.
I went to his school at NC State, where he transferred from, to play a game of pickup. I forgot who invited me to come, so I had been up there a few times, so I was like, all right, why not today? Went up there, and I think we were on the same team. I actually think we were on the same team, and like when we ran into each other here, I was like, yo, you remember like when we played pickup, when I was there, when we played pickup at NC State? I was like, yeah. So yeah, I was like, that's where I know you from. So that's how it happened.
Now, you guys both played Division I basketball, NC State for you, Fordham for you, NC State ACC school, so obviously very high level of basketball there. What was that experience like, and how did that prepare you for playing here at Barry now?
Well, that experience was very great. You get a chance to play with some of the best players in the ACC, and also get a chance to be coached by some of the best coaches. I think that was a great experience for me, and I enjoyed it a lot.
And then the same for you, Trey, playing at Fordham. Obviously, a lot of good players there as well. What was that experience like?
I mean, the Atlantic 10 was tough. Like, I think it was nearly every year 5-6 teams went to the tournament from our conference, so it was tough, and it actually prepared me to be like the player that I am now and helped me become the player I am now.
You guys both come from North Carolina, come down here from your different schools, down to Miami. How has Miami been for you guys, and how has the Barry experience been?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I mean, Miami has been great. The weather has been awesome. The coaching staff has been great. The teachers here has been very good, and it's just been a wonderful time here in Miami.
You mentioned the coaching staff, Coach Estes. What has been like so far playing for him?
It's been very intense. Like every day he come to practice and push us to the very limit, and want us to get better, progress as we go on into the season. I think the coaching staff here has done a wonderful job with us and helped us prepare us to win the games.
You feel like you guys at this point now have meshed with the rest of the teammates that you have here? Obviously, there's some guys that were here last year, some very established players. And do you feel like you guys are meshing as a team right now?
Yes, sir. I think that's one of our strong points because of the fact that we actually like being around each other. Like, if you have a team and no one really likes being around each other, it's gonna be hard to perform at your highest level. But we actually like enjoy being around each other.
And you're a couple of big guys, so I know you guys like to work with the point guards. You got Derek Hill feeding you guys the basketball. He set the school record for assists last year. Let's talk about him a little bit. How great is it to play with a guy like Derek Hill?
Hey, Derek is amazing. He kind of reminded me of Cat Barber a little bit with the ball, very quick, and agile. But we've been working a little bit on some alley hoops, some point guard, big man type of plays, and it's been great so far. We're working with Derek Hill.
You guys have both given us some highlight dunks so far this season. Giovanni, especially, some of your dunks, you jumped through the roof over there. Is that something you work on during the season?
It's been pretty much a gift, but over time, I spend a lot of time in the gym working on dunks. Me and Unio and of course Travion, we always work on dunks after practice. I just want to get a crowd involved into it, put some highlights out there. So it's been great.
Guys, Sunshine State Conference play, you've already played St. Leo. You know how tough it's going to be. It's the toughest Division II conference in the country. One game in, but has anyone told you, anything to prepare you, help you out for what's to come here?
I mean, pretty much just be ready to play every night, which you should always be anyway, because no matter where you play, no matter who you are, you can always be beat, and that should always be in the back of your head every time you step on the court.
And then finally, guys, both of you in school here at Barry, what is your major, and what do you hope to do after you finish school? I'm
a public relations major. When I'm done, I hope, play basketball overseas a little bit, make a little money, have a family, and then, I haven't fully decided what I want to do with that yet, but, I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I'm not completely sure right now. But.
And then Giovanni, I know you're a grad student.
Well, I have a degree from NC State in Business Administration and Finance. Initially, I want to work in corporate finance, but I wanted to branch out a little bit, maybe work in sports finance. And after a while, I want to establish and have a family, settle down, that sort of thing.
All right, a couple of North Carolina guys down here in Miami. We've had so much fun watching you already this season. That was a lot of big things to come here at Barry University. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank our assistant rowing coach, Lindsay Shoop, Scott Freer from our athletic training department, and Giovanni Robinson and Trey Leonard from our men's basketball team. For Dennis Jezik and Jim McCurdy, I'm Danny Rabinowitz. Thank you for watching this edition of Buccaneers Insider.